Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining today's webinar. We'll start in a few seconds, just when we hit 2 o'clock here in the Netherlands. So we're good to go. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here today for the WMDA Global Trends Report webinar for the data from 2024 and looking forward to data collection for 2025. I would just like to mention that today's webinar will be recorded and it will be available afterwards on Share. I will share the link in the chat of this webinar. And should you have any technical issues or request support, please use the chat function we have for that in Teams. You can find it in your menu bar. It's the little bubble. And if you have any questions, please use the Q&A function, which is also available in the menu bar, and we will answer your questions after the presentations. And I would really want to thank you, today's supporters, Gift of Life, Marrow, Registry, and NMDP for supporting the Global Trend Report for 2024. Thank you very much. And for today, we will first start with a word from our partners. And after that, Monique will present all the results from the Global Trend Report from 2024. And then we will end with looking forward to the data collection, which has already started last month. Every review or reporter received the link to upload their data for last year. And Monique will be able to answer any questions you might have or give support if needed. But first, I would like to hand over to WMDA's president and also the CEO of Gift of Life Marrow Registry. Jay, thank you for being here. And I gladly give you some time to share with us why you supported the Global Trend Report and how the Global Trend Report helps your registry.
Thank you, Martine. Before this call, we were actually just talking about the Global Trends Report's history, and it goes back to 1997, which is truly extraordinary. That's a lot of extremely valuable data. And I've been involved personally and professionally with the WMDA since the 1990s as well, and so proud to see how far the organization has come. For me and for Gift of Life, I think that we've considered the Global Trends Report a valuable benefit of WMDA membership. It's served for years as a resource that provides insights for not just for us, but I think for all registries to use that informs planning and collaboration and improvement. It allows registries to track change, to benchmark performance, and make decisions based on evidence rather than assumptions. And the report really informs our future. And for me, it makes me so happy to know that it's really proof of this extraordinary collaboration that is the hallmark of a truly extraordinary WMDA community. We all come together to do this. And I would just like to thank the WMDA office team in Leiden for their hard work compiling and publishing this report. It's no easy task. And I look forward to today's presentation. So thank you to the WMDA office for making this happen.
Thank you very much, Jay. And we're very happy to have you, and thank you for your gratitude. Much appreciated. Also, Kristen Naruko is here, and she will say some words on behalf of the NMDP, who is also a very generous supporter of the Global Trend Report in 2024. So thank you, Kristen, for being here, and welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning for me. Good afternoon for many of you. At NMDP, we have a vision, and that is to create a world where every patient can receive their life-saving therapy And we believe at the heart of everything we do are two individuals, both the patient who is awaiting, hopeful, and the donor who's willing to give that hope. So every decision that we make here, whether that be operational or strategic, ultimately impacts those two individuals. And so that's why we believe that data sharing matters so much. And the data we share isn't just numbers on a report. We tell the story through that data of patient access, the speed that our registries are able to accomplish, and the quality. We're able to look at the data to really see where our patients waiting too long, where our donors facing potential friction, where there might be room for improvement or even celebration. But honestly, no one of us, no single organization has the full picture, which is really why the WMDA Global Trends Report is such a fantastic tool. When we share this data across all of us, it means we can really identify best practices, surface barriers, and really accelerate together. So, as Jay said, thanks to WMDA, of course, for all the hard work that goes into this report, compiling it, and then making it available for all of us to benefit from. And also just want to give a big thanks to all the registries who provide the data for us all to benefit from as well. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Kristen. And then it's over to you, Monique. I will move the slides forward as we go along, so just give me a heads up when you want me to move on to the next one.
Okay, thank you, Martina, and also Jay and Kirsten. So yeah, we are going to the results of 2024. Starting with the response rate, it was 92%. There were 102 organizations from 60 countries included. So just a note for the GTR, we always invite all the organizations known to us, to the WMDA, active in this field. So it's not just WMDA members. We do this to represent the global data as much as possible. And so the numbers might be slightly different from what you know from the search and match database that we also often present data on. So at the end of 2024, there were 40 organizations WMDA certified, which represents a little bit more than 90% of all the donors and corporate units that are listed in this search and match service. So let's start with the inventory. There were 46 million unrelated donors reported to us and 765,000 cord blood units, which is a 4.4 increase for the donors compared to 2023, and a 7% decrease compared to 2023 for the cords. I have to say that compared to 23, in 24 there were 2 cord blood banks that did not participate. So at least this is partly accounting for the decrease that we see in cords, but we know that over the last couple of years, the use of cords and the banking of cords has been decreasing. So this map shows you how the inventory is distributed over the world. It shows the number of donors and cord blood units and also the number of organizations on each continent that responded to the GTR in 24. You can see that most donors and cord blood units are available in Europe, followed by North America, Asia, South America, Oceania, and then Africa. Here we see the number of newly recruited donors and banked cord blood units in 2024. You can see that the donor recruitment in the blue line is recovering after COVID with a 4.8% increase compared to 23. But you can also see that it has not returned to the same level as before COVID. The the number of newly banked cord blood units in the red line has also decreased by 10%, but so like when I'm talking about the cord blood units, you have to keep in mind of the 2 cord blood banks that did not report. So it will be partly also accounted by that, but yeah, as we all know, the use of cord blood units has been decreasing over several years already. So the donor recruitment trend isn't necessarily a bad thing. It could be that organizations are focusing on quality over quantity in terms of recruitment. And we can see this also later that the number of product shipments has not been affected by this. So when we look at the age and the sex distribution of the donors that are listed, 36% of all donors are younger than 35 years old, and 57% are female. So the sex distribution has been stable for years, despite efforts of registries to recruit more male donors. And in this last year, 2024, we actually see a decrease of the younger donors with 4%. I mean, it's always tricky looking at percentages. And I also know that some organizations did not provide this age breakdown, so that could also influence the data. Then looking at the HLA typing, so this graph is actually new because in the 24 questionnaire for the GTR, excuse me, we actually eliminated the questions on HLA load site typing to reduce the reporting burden, because we can also take this data from the search and match database. So you can see that for donors, the majority are high resolution typed for HLA-A, B, and DR, and as well a substantial percentage for HLA-C and DQ. So these are the bars in blue. And then for the cord blood banks, for the cord blood units, it looks similar for HLA-A, B, and DR, which HLA-C typing's catching up, while DQ and DP remain low. This data is also taken from a search and match database showing the TNCs of the listed, the banked cord blood units. You can see that the majority is almost 90% of all cord blood units listed have TNC counts between 50 and 199, with like the range 90 to 124 with the largest percentage. So moving on to the reasons for deleting unrelated donors from the inventory, and with almost 51%, the main reason donors are deleted is because of the age limit is reached, followed by a personal withdrawal request by the donor with 27%. I have a similar graph like this for the cord bloods, but unfortunately most organizations fill out unknown. So I will not show that one to you. Then moving on to HLA typing strategy, this was a new question in the GTR of 2024 to track the HLA typing strategy at recruitment. So this one is for donors, for unrelated donors. And you can see that it's quite homogeneous. The predominant method for HLA typing is NGS with 85%, and the majority of registries types their donors at recruitment for HLA-A, B, C, DR, DQ, and DP with 62%. And this is the same data, but for the cords. You can see here that the answers are not as uniform as the data for the donors, but still NGS is the predominant method with 67%, and the majority also types for A, B, C, DR, DQ, and DP at 41%. So then we come to the donor selection part. Starting with the health availability check, which was introduced into the GDR during COVID. You can see that during those years, especially alternate sample requests were quite high, but the use of both health availability check and the alternate sample request have declined compared to 2023. Then it's a rather busy slide. Sorry for that. These are the verification typing requests and also cancellations with a focus on the donor reasons for these VT cancellations. So the VT request for patients treated in your country, so national patients, are depicted in blue, and the international ones in the gray bars, and then the red one shows the cancellations with the line showing the percentage of cancellations. So there was a total of 218,000 verification typing requests, which was an 8% increase compared to 23. And the request for international and national patients is almost approaching 50-50 and hasn't really changed very much since 23. The total cancellations remained the same, about 47%, and of those 47%, 89% were canceled due to donor reasons, which also hasn't changed since the year before. So the main reasons for donor-related cancellations were the donor was unable to be traced or the donor declined for personal reasons. Then an overview on the verification typing speed. So the blue bars are the VTs performed, the red ones, the red bar are the VTs performed within 2 weeks. And then for the, and so it's for unrelated donors like on the left and for cord blood units on the right. The line represents the percentage of the VTs performed within 2 weeks of the total. And so you can see that for donors, the percentage of VTs performed within 2 weeks is slowly decreasing, like very tiny decrease over time. But if you compare it to 2019, you can see like a slight trend in this. While the number of VTs has increased significantly. For cord blood units, this decrease in typing speed was more predominant over the last few years, but it seems to have like leveled off in 2024 compared to the year before. Then we have the workup details. There were almost 40,000 workup requested, which was almost similar, a slight increase of less than 1%. This is the data in the blue bars. The percentage donor-related cancellations has increased by 2%, as you can see from the light gray line. And then we also saw a 4% increase in VTs performed at workup. So workup without preceding verification typing, as you can see in the dark gray line. Then the donations or the shipments. So the total HPC product shipments have increased to almost 28,000, which is an 8% increase compared to 23. But as you can see in the blue box on the left, the type of donations are changing, moving towards increased use of apheresis, while marrow and cord use are declining. And this graph shows the donor lymphocyte shipments for DLI, but also for purposes other than DLI. There were 1,830 DLI shipped. In 2024, an overall increase of 5.7%, or yeah, almost 6. I put 6 there. So it's both national and international shipments have increased, so there's no clear difference in that. And there were a total of 97 peripheral blood lymphocyte products shipped for purposes other than DLI, which is a big increase, but I'm not sure if this question is properly understood or properly filled out. So this might be an area where we can improve the form or the questioning. Because I know that this is an area that people are interested in, but the data fluctuates a lot in the years that we have asked this, as you can see in the data table. So this is the TNC count of cord blood units that were shipped for single transplants versus multi-transplants, and then also for children versus adults. So just a note on this, that not all cord blood banks provided TNCs for the shipped cord blood units. So in total, there were 1,414 that were missing, of which the majority were shipped by Japan. And yeah, this data is always missing from them, so they cannot retrieve it from their cord blood banks, unfortunately. So these are excluded from the graph. As we all know, the single cord blood units transplantation is mainly done in children, and those have a lower TNC content than the cord blood used in adults. 72% of all these cord blood units have a TNC lower than 200. And for the multi-cord blood unit transplants, the majority is done in adults, with cord blood units containing high numbers of TNC. 90% of all of them used have a TNC higher than or equal than 150. Then some data on the cord blood units that were shipped but not infused. With a breakdown of the reasons. So in 24, there were 16 cord blood units that were not infused after shipment. 10 patients, and 10 were patient related, and 6 products, 6 had product issues. So you can see in the last 2 years, there were no transport incidents reported in the GTR. Then some data on the global exchange. So these are the same shipment numbers that I showed previously, but now Marrow and apheresis are combined, and they are shown per continent. So the shipments are increasing on all continents, with the largest percentual increase seen in Africa, Oceania, and Europe, but it's increasing all over the world. And then we look at the percentage of national versus international shipments. Also, this is data combined for bone marrow and apheresis. And you can see that it has stabilized again after COVID, with 47% of all shipments crossing a border. So then, sorry, this is a rather busy slide. Sorry for that, but I don't know how else to show it. I'm sorry. So this is the showing the international global exchange of marrow and apheresis products between continents, following the arrows, and also the number of products used within the continents, which are depicted in the circles. So Africa imports the most from Europe. Asia is quite self-sufficient and has the most exchange also with Europe. Europe exchanges with all continents and is also the largest exporter. North America also exchanges with all continents and is the largest importer. Oceania has more import than export. And South America has the most exchange with North America and Europe. But this slide is in all the in all the GTR data, so you can have a closer look at it in your own time, because it is very busy. Then I will show the same graphs, but for corporate units. So here you can see that the port shipments are declining on all continents except South America, with the largest percentual decline in Europe of 13%. Then the same graph, national versus international shipments for ports. As you can see, the lines in this graph are slowly moving away from each other more and more every year. So the port shipments for national patients is now at 86%. And yeah, so it's a trend that people are using national ports more and more. So the same busy slides for ports, but a bit less busy. So in Africa, there is no corporate unit use, while in Asia has the largest use in corporate, and they also only exchange with Europe and North America. Europe exchanges with all continents, with the most import from North America. North America is self-sufficient and the largest exporter of corporate units. And again, Oceania has more import than export, and South America only imports from North America and Europe. Then I come to the final part, which is transplantation. The patient transplanted with unrelated donors. As noted in the bottom, this data is incomplete, as not all organizations can provide this data, so keep that in mind. But there's not a huge part missing, but just so you know. And also, like in this graph, we can see that the transplantations using apheresis are increasing, while those using marrow and cord as products are decreasing. So that's all I wanted to present today regarding the 2024 data. There is quite a lot more information. You can find this on the WMDA share member page for the GTR. And also we have like slides on our website if you want to review any of it. I don't know, Martina, do you want to, if there are any questions about this part, I don't know, do you want to answer them now, or you want to go until the end?
I think maybe best to first finish and see if the reporters have anything regarding
Okay.
the reporting for 2025, and then if there's any question, because I don't see any questions at this time yet.
Yeah, I just saw
So,
one, but we can do we can do it at the end.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so then the reporting of last year for this year, 2025 data. So this is the timeline. The request has been sent. Most people already accessed their file and started. There's even a few that already finished. So the deadline has been set on 17 March to give around 2 months time to complete the form. I hope that will be enough for most people. But please do it as soon as possible, since we would like to present some key preliminary data during the general membership meeting in Madrid on March 20. And the report will be available no later than the 1st of May. So I hope you all know this, at least the reporters know this, that we have set up a special page with information on WMDA Share, its public page, so also the non-WMDA members can access this information, where we try to provide as much detailed instructions as possible to make the reporting more smooth. So there's a lot of information on there, general information, instructions. There are different pages with the sections and their intentions, so you can have more information, what kind of data we are actually looking for. All the questions are in there with the guidance, all the validations, and the explanation of it, which are built into the form. We have a page with definitions, if you are unsure what we mean with some of the wording. And there is also an FAQ, which you can consult if you have a problem, to see if more people have this problem and there's an easy fix. But next slide. Yeah, so if there are already problems or questions that you have about the reporting or the structure of the questionnaire or whatever, we can discuss it now. I can answer anything that might come up already. If you have a problem that occurs at a later time, you can always contact me. Most of you will already have my email address, but it's listed over there. So yeah, we can open up the Q&A and see.
Yeah, we have 2 questions already. One question is, the national non-DLI grafts are much higher than international. Is there a reason for that? Do you know, Monique?
So the blood lymphocytes that are shipped for non-DLI purposes, and then national versus international, right? That is what they are asking. I do not know what is the reason for that, but if I look at the data that is reported on these types of products, like I said, it looks like there's no consistent reporting in this question. So I'm not sure we can actually make a conclusion from that, like, oh, it is changing. I feel like it is a reporting change, not so much data change.
I think I can bring this back to the Registry Operations and Regulation Committee to check with Sigal if this is something we should discuss.
I've been talking to Eefke about cellular therapy to add maybe a section about cellular therapy so that these questions are all combined in the same area, because now they are a bit like all over the place. But yeah, it's something that is in process, but not clear yet. But yeah, any input about this would be good. So also from the registry operations working committee.
And there's a
So
question.
then I see.
Yeah, is there any data on ADCUs?
Yes. So I put that. I didn't mention it, but I put it on the slides. I think there were. Wait, let me quickly look at the data. There are 158 ADCUs HLA typed and banked in 2024 in the US and in Germany. And since we have been tracking this ADCU data, there have been wait, I have to scroll down, sorry.
I think it's now a little over 400 at this time.
Okay, well that's
so
that's
it is
possible.
increasing. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So and in 24 there was one ADCU that was shipped. It was a national shipment in Germany, and I know that last year, the year before in 2023, there was one or two that were also nationally shipped in US. I think there in total there are 4 ADCUs ever that have been reported to us in the US and in Germany, and they were both national shipments.
So we have another question. Based on the historical big data available, what adjustments are being made for the 2025 reporting?
Actually, we haven't made a lot of. We actually did not make any changes to the questionnaire in 2025. We only archived one question that was question proposed by Orca Bio when they were sponsoring the TPR. But as I said, cellular therapy is an area that we are looking to collect more and better data. It's more clear what we are asking. And obviously also like in the last couple of years, we've been asking about the ADCs, but this is really like slowly growing area at this moment. So the only adjustment that is quite important for the reporters and for the registries is not so much an ask of the data that we ask from the registries, but we have added calculations of the KPIs into the form. So at the end, when you fill everything out, the KPIs are computed at the bottom. So you can keep those for your own archives.
And we have another question. Until 2023, the number of searches worldwide were reported. In the 2024 GTR, this figure was dropped. Is there a reason for this?
Yeah, it's not dropped, but I mean it's dropped from the questionnaire. But we are still collecting this data from Search and Match. I didn't show it today because the data is a bit. In the last 2 years, Search and Match has undergone so many development in the way the searches are performed, and due to the API and due to the algorithms, that actually the data that they can pull out search and match now looks quite different from what we did before when we asked it in the GDPR. So actually for the 2025 reporting, I will work together with the IT team of Search and Match to define better these data, so we can have like, how do you say, consistent reporting on this then in 2025. Because it looks like there are way more searches done than before, but it's API running the searches automatically. So it was very difficult for the Search and Match team to extract the searches for unique patients, which we actually want to know. But we are working on this.
I've added the link to the Search and Match data to the Global Trend Report Search and Match data in the chat. And we have another question concerning VTs.
Yeah.
Are 89%? Oh, sorry. The second. Okay.
The second. So yeah, it looks like wow, but it's like 89% of the cancellations are canceled due to corona-related reasons. So I think it was like 47% were canceled. The total cancellations were 47% of the 47%, which was the same as the year before.
Are there any other questions? Maybe reporters that are struggling with certain questions, how to answer them, or anything related to reporting for last year's data? So now is your chance to ask Monique live, and otherwise you can always refer to her via email, but you might have a question that other people are struggling with as well, since we have this group together now. Feel free to ask. And if there aren't any questions, let me just put into the chat also the link where you will be able to find the recording, which you can also share with colleagues who might want to review the recording later. It will be available on share, the link via the link I just shared. Then I'll start sharing my screen again just so we can say goodbye if there are no other questions. So thank you, especially to you, Monique, for presenting. Oh, we do have a question from our colleague Alicia, and it's a question to the community. So how would you define a search? Do we count the patients? Do we ignore patients that had searches in previous years? Do we count only first searches? Do we count mismatch searches? Do we combine Atlas and HAP-E searches? So everybody just go crazy in the chat now. Type all your answers in.
Yeah, so
1, 2, 3, 4,
it is
or
not
5.
as straightforward as it seems to collect data on searches. So if you have any brilliant input on this, or like Alicia said, what do you define as a search, so that we know how to define ourselves which data we want to pull out of Search and Match.
So very good point. Thank you. Then, if there are no further questions, Monique, thank you so much for presenting. I know it's very late where you are in Indonesia, so much appreciated that you were able to accommodate our community by staying up late. And another big thank you.
It's not that late.
Okay,
it's
good.
only 10.
Oh, that's not too bad. Good.
No, it's okay.
Okay, great. Well, I appreciate it nonetheless. And also thank you to Jay and to Kristen, because for you guys, it's early in the morning. For Kristen, a bit earlier even than for Jay. So thank you very much. And also a big thank you to our audience for showing up today. And it was really great to have so many people attend. Thank you very much. And see you for a next webinar, hopefully. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, everyone. Thank you.